Please welcome Marcellus Mangus.
So, hello together. So, I want to present today about our way to recover from the Corona crisis by using product lifecycle management, and how also the Corona crisis was a trigger for us. It was a trigger for disruptive value creation, and how we did this and how we are doing it now, and why this is useful maybe also in your company to overcome the situation last year and this year. So last year, as you also were hit by the Corona crisis, we had really disruptive influences in the way how we were working, how we were thinking, and how we did our business. The Corona crisis was a really big change in our company, especially if we had a look at the processes, because the market and the environments were rapidly changing very frequently. So we had a lot of challenges in front of us. Day by day, there were another challenge, there were different challenges, and we had to cope with it in some way. And also in an environment where there was a very high uncertainty in the degree of the planning, because we did not know what was happening tomorrow, what does happening next week, and how to cover this. And also there was a sharp slump in the earnings and in the revenue. And we tried to understand, okay, what is the main trigger we can do to overcome the situation and to get a stabilized situation during the Corona crisis, and also to cover with the future, because we implemented more and more mechanisms to cope with the Corona crisis. And then there was also the thinking, okay, what can we do now to support the life after the Corona crisis? And these were more or less the main topics or challenges we had to cover with. So we had to be we needed the possibility to react very fast to the market developments. And the second was also that we had to maintain and expand our innovation leadership, even with the limited resources we have, limited resources more and more in all sense, in sense of headcount, in sense of also materials and so on, because borders were closed, there were restrictions for shipment and so on, and we had to cover this. But we wanted to be the innovation leader also after the Corona crisis. So this was our target, not only to say, okay, we will cover this crisis, we will survive, but also to work on our strategy and our 5 and 10 year strategy. We had very fast to know our supply chains and the product design to adjust it very fast, because we had also suppliers which had heavy problems, and suppliers are very important for our business. But for that, we also had to think about, okay, how can we exchange suppliers? How can we adjust our designs? Also, what we did and what was also a main key, but also a challenge, was the empowerment of the people and also the regions, because we learned very fast that we cannot support and steer the regions like China or Americas out of Europe as we could before, because we were very restricted in traveling. We were restricted also in the collaboration, because the change into a complete virtual environment by using Teams or any other app talking and meeting in virtual rooms took a lot of time, and the vice versa was that you were not available for some people. And for that, we shifted completely or we empowered our region to act more or less independently, but also in the framework of processes and methods that we did before. And we empowered also our people to decide and react on the situations, just to be fast and to make progress in covering of all those challenges. And we also started to build up strong standards, but they also had to be flexible. Really as flexible. This is something we always said before Corona. Okay, we have standards, but they're flexible. But we learned during Corona what real flexibility is. And at the end, we had to transform our engineering to an agile and digitized engineering. Agile because also of the empowerment to get also the speed in the processes, and to digitize the engineering really to collaborate globally. And here it was really that the engineering was before Corona working on a global scale, but it was different as we doing it today because we are using really more virtualization and closer collaboration. And for us, the first focus was really on the processes, how we how we started this challenge. And one key finding we have is that to cover Corona and the trigger out of Corona is that you need one central responsibility for the processes and the systems. And this was a starting point where we were started thinking about a process-driven model-based system lifecycle management, because as you can see, product lifecycle management is one of the most important core processes next to the supply chain management and the core customer relation management. And we have a lot of processes here described. So how do we engineer? How do we build our future with our innovative products? And these processes then are built up in different systems. For sure, for the product lifecycle management, one of the most important system is a PLM system, or the architecture we have there, because it's a backbone and a lot of othering systems. But we have also some processes which are running in the ERP system or in the manufacturing execution system or in other systems. So not every process is really covered in the PLM system, mostly just the engineering system, but to be fast and to execute and to ensure this process is also important to know that there's more than a PLM system, and at the end we have a lot of interfaces also between these systems. Those thinking in this way, for us, we have 4 pillars or 4 layers more or less in our product lifecycle management. So the first layer for us are the processes. So we are very process driven, and the processes we describe what we are doing. And then we have the methods which describe how we are doing it. So how do we come from point A to point B together? Very important for the methods and the processes are the information we are handling in. So we do really a deep dive in our processes until we are on the information flow. And then for sure, this information needs to be built up in a system or in a system architecture, so that we can collaborate in a virtual way. And for us, it is like we have the requirements, the need, and the effectivity built it up in the processes. And the second point is what we were looking was for a best match, or where can we get the best possibilities. So because if we have better system, if we have more possibilities where we can use, we will steer our efficiency. And this together is then the scope of our digitization we are driving now for a year to cope with Corona, but also to be much more agile in the future, much more innovative and much more faster. So, and for us, it was important to take the process into account because it does, if you use a system which a lot of possibilities and you are focused on the efficiency, you did the second step, because in the first step, if you are effective, you sometimes focus on efficiency topics where you have a solution at the end, but you never had a problem in. If you have a look at how can I do something faster in the sense of effectivity in the processes. And for us, it was very important to get an overall optimization that there is one central responsibility for the processes and the system where the processes are running in. Before the Corona crisis, we were honestly spoken in this situation that we started the digitization in the thinking. So we had a vision. We were working on a strategy how to digitize our engineering. And we did before also a proof of concept of many systems. And at the end, we decided then in the Corona crisis also to go for ARAS Innovator because we had the most possibilities for our business, because we saw that ARAS was very open, it was very flexible, is very scalable, and this means for us that we can build up our own applications because this is very important for us to build up how we are working in own applications. So we are customizing or configuring a lot, and we don't believe in a standard system with standard processes and life cycles, because this would not match our business. Especially we have one business where we build up the complete seat system in commercial vehicle, and this is a business that is different from automotive, and this means we have to configure our applications. For sure, we don't want to invent everything on our own, and this is what we see also have a big benefit in ARAS, because we have this platform services where we know, okay, these are really the basis of services we can use, which enable us, and we as more or less the application and software department can build on. So we don't have to think, okay, what is in the world for artificial intelligence or integration service and so on. This is there, and we can really focus on building up our processes in the system. And for us also the big benefit was upgradability, because if we start these processes and there is an update in the service platform and the foundation, we don't want to redo everything, because the bigger the customization or configuration is, the more complex is updated, and we don't want to do it because we really want to focus on our business. Product lifecycle management is a core process, and it is our business. And so we don't want to sometimes working just for our own infrastructure. As I told you that we are really process focused, it's the second thing you also have to take into account is that you have to put the interfaces really in the right places. To speak about product lifecycle management, we also have to think about what are functionalities of an ERP system, which functionalities do I use there, and also for the MES system, because at the end we have to deliver our informations into the operations systems, and only if we are successful in describing our product and our manufacturing process in a way that it is executable in the best way, we are successful as an engineering. And this means at the end also you can have a look in your system, but you also have to take account that beside your PLM architecture with other integrated outsourcing systems, you also have to think about what is the integration, in which the system do I have to deliver, or out of which bigger systems as are ERP or MES are, which information do I need? And you can do there a lot of things right and do a lot of things wrong, because every week system interface is really an obstacle for your process, because you will lose if you have a effective and straightforward process. Every week interface will kill your process and will have an impact on your business. And also, if you have a weak interface, you have also a lack of informations. This is then the result out of it. And for that, the interfaces are very important for us. And now, if you have a look at the PLM systems, the ERP systems, and the MES systems, and you have some processes which are not core process but important processes, you will see that you have sometimes the functionality which you need in three systems. For example, if we think about costs, cost management of products, or sustainability informations, you will see you have now functionalities in the ERP system, you have functionalities in the MES system, and you have functionalities in the PLM system. And you have to think about, okay, where are this information best integrated? Which is the best functionality who covers my requirements. But what you never should do, and this is where we are focused on, is you never should have an interface of systems and a process going through this, or more or less the processes should have the same interfaces as the systems have. Because for one example is the manufacturing process planning. A lot of companies do their manufacturing process planning in the ERP systems because they are very production driven. We have the same, or we had the same setup here. And this is a big problem for your core process of the engineering, because you're developing a product, and if you need to build up the process and to match your product information to the processes, to the tools, to the costs, you have there always an interface in your process, in your core process, and this leads you to real inefficient processes. And then, yeah, it is okay for ERP at the end, but they don't need so much information out of the manufacturing process as we need in our engineering. And this is now also a mind change to think about, okay, what is the process? Where is a real interface? Also, sometimes a change into the thinking. And we decided then also what have to be part of our PLM system and architecture. And there we had this big change that we say, okay, the process engineering has to be part of our product lifecycle management. And we are extending it also to a production system lifecycle management. And for that, we will not have a hard interface if we are performing our change process, because we are in one system, we have the information in one system, and we can be fast. Otherwise, we also have always this manual data looking between the ERP system and the PLM system, handing over information, working maybe not with all information we have, because this functionality is not covering everything. And just at the end, how did we do our strategy, or what is the strategy? So we had a starting point, and our target for sure is to get a very fast return on investment, because as you know, with less business or lower scales of the production, you have really to focus on your costs, on your infrastructure. And we had the starting point that we have costs of processes, as everybody has, and we have the costs of the systems. And now we have the challenge, okay, how can we also use money to transform in a new organization, in a digitized organization? And to do this process driven, it has a big benefit, because only if you also redefine your processes, you can have an effect on your process costs. And for us, it was now the first step to consolidate the IT systems. So this means we had as first trigger the target to get rid of old systems, to get rid of systems which have more or less the same functionalities, and to implement maybe a system where we have a lot of possibilities. So it was really potential driven, and also for that save some money. And we use this money to reinvest into the transformation. The next step we will performing then is the improvement of the processes within the existing system possibilities. So this means we're again investing money and saving money in our processes. And this is, if you go in a process-driven PLM, a big benefit, because who integrated a PLM system or any system knows there is some day where the top management will asking, okay, I invested now a lot of money, and what is now the benefit out of it? And if you do it normally, yes, you have at the beginning slides, what are the benefit, where do I improve, where do I perform better? But at the end, to measure it at the end, this is a big problem. But if you have a process-driven product lifecycle management, and you really start to redefine your processes and measure it as it was before and afterwards, you have key performance indicators, and there you can really show how the improvement was. And this is also a big benefit, what you can see here. We will improve our processes in sense of cost. It don't has to be cost. It also could be quality, or it could be speed. But we measure here the cost because we want to show the return of investment. And then in the fourth step, we can add some additional systems to be much faster in the processes, because we started with product lifecycle management backbone, but we are sure that there are best-in-breed systems which also will support and improve our processes at the end. But for starting point, for us, it was important to have a big impact to improve heavily the processes, and for us, this was to change the engineering backbone. Here you can also see how was the usage of the potential, because what we did by changing 2 hours, we did also scale up our potential of our systems. Then we are now focused really on using this potential until we are using nearly 90 or 80% of this potential. I guess nobody will use 100%. It's too much functionalities, and there's always a slight improvement. But this is then the trigger point where we also have to look how, for example, could we improve in CAD, how could we improve in the electronic engineering, software engineering, where we need some additional systems for sure. But it is important to integrate them to have one stable process. And as I told at the beginning, we started this journey 1 year ago. It was the time where we had, at least in Germany, the first shutdown. And this had also a hit on our complete initiative, how fast we could be. because of short-term working, how we could collaboration over, yeah, over the internet. Everybody who knows how process improvement workshops are running could imagine how difficult it is if you're not allowed to be in one room to discuss on one wall. And these are sometimes really hard discussions, and to do this virtual, it is really time consuming, and you need more often a break because these are really hard discussions. But at the end, we were able to go live after 7 months. So 7 months after the decision of the top management to start with having Corona inside to do it in 7 months, you can also see how fast you can be with Ares Innovator to reorganize or redefine your processes and bring it into a live environment, roll it out, and to overcome more or less the Corona crisis. And also, as we do today, we are more and more focused on a 5 years plan, looking, okay, what can we do next? What can we do next? And also topics which are more, or which we would also have be discussed before we know about Corona. But it helped us really to overcome the situation. And it was also a trigger because without Corona, it would not be possible to change so much. It was really, the environment was we have to change, and there was a big question how and where to change, and we used it to digitize our engineering. So thank you very much. I'm really looking forward to get in contact with you to discuss how you maybe do improving your processes and building up into an engineer in a digitized way, and also to answer your questions. Thank you.